first time he hit my apartment door, I thought the frame was gonna splinter in half. If my neighbor hadn't opened his door when he did, I don't think I'd be telling this story. I was 22, working late shifts at a small dive bar a few blocks from my apartment. Nothing fancy. Sticky floors, neon beer signs buzzing, locals arguing over whatever game was on. I walked home every night. 7 minutes. Same cracked sidewalks, same flickering streetlights. I'd done it so many times it felt automatic. There was a regular named Jared, late 30s, thinning hair, same worn brown jacket no matter the temperature. He always sat alone at the end of the bar, nursing one beer for almost an hour. He barely watched the TV. He watched me. Not in a dramatic way, just constant glances, like he was studying something. He'd ask little questions, where I grew up, if I lived nearby, what days I worked. I kept my answers vague, smiled, redirected. That's part of bartending. But something about him felt off, like he was memorizing details. One Friday, he asked if I wanted to hang out outside of work. I told him no, politely. I said I keep work and personal life separate. His expression changed instantly. The friendliness drained out of his face like someone flipped a switch. He forced a smile, tossed cash on the bar, and left without tipping. He had never done that before. My shift ended at midnight. I counted my tips, pulled on my hoodie, and stepped outside. The street was quiet. Too quiet. The kind where your own footsteps sound louder than they should. I had just turned the corner when I heard someone say my name. He was standing under a streetlight like he'd been waiting. I hadn't heard him approach. He apologized for storming out earlier and said he just gets nervous. I told him it was fine, but I needed to go home. He nodded, then asked for my Instagram. I said I don't use social media. He smiled. That's weird. I've seen you on Instagram at the bar before. My stomach dropped. I had no idea how he knew that. I told him to leave me alone and started walking. After a few seconds, I heard footsteps behind me. I sped up. The footsteps sped up. I slowed down. They slowed down. When I glanced back, he was half a block behind me, matching my pace like it was a game. When I reached my building, I crossed the street instead of going straight to the door. He crossed too. I stopped. He stopped. He stood under a tree in the shadows. I couldn't see his face clearly, but I could tell he was smiling. I yelled that my boyfriend was inside and I was going to get him. That was a lie. I lived alone. I rushed to the entrance, punched in the code, and pulled the door open. That's when I heard him sprinting. I ran inside and let the door slam shut. I didn't wait to see if it locked. I bolted up the stairs. My apartment was at the end of the hallway. I could hear the main door downstairs shove open, heavy footsteps pounding up the steps, fast, too fast. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped my keys. I could hear him getting closer, each step echoing through the stairwell. I finally jammed the key into the lock and threw myself inside just as he reached the hallway. A second later, his entire body slammed into my door. The impact shook the frame. He hit it again, harder, like he was trying to break it down. I screamed and grabbed my phone, backing away. He slammed it a third time, and I genuinely thought the hinges were going to give. Then another door opened in the hallway. A man's voice yelled, "What the hell are you doing?" The banging stopped instantly. Silence, then quick footsteps retreating down the stairs. I looked through the peephole and saw my neighbor standing in the hallway, confused. Jared was already halfway down the stairwell. Police came that night. The building's security camera showed him running in after me. The bar footage showed him leaving right after me. The next day, an officer told me his full name, Jared Perez. They were charging him with stalking and unlawful entry for chasing me into the building and attempting to force my door. I filed for a restraining order. I had to tell a judge everything. Watching the security footage in a courtroom made it feel even more real. Seeing him run after me like that,
knowing how close he got. Nothing like that ever happened again, but I stopped walking home alone. Even now, years later, if I hear footsteps matching mine at night, my chest tightens, because I still remember the sound of his body hitting that door and how close he came to getting inside.